Welcome to the podcast. Today I want to talk about something that runs counter to the usual advice you hear on social media. Most businesses don't actually need more content, they need more consistency. I know that sounds strange. We are constantly told to post more, to be everywhere, to feed the algorithm. But think about your own experience as a consumer. When you follow a local business, maybe a restaurant or a shop, and they go silent for 2 weeks, then suddenly flood your feed with 7 posts in a single day, what do you feel? It's confusing. It feels disjointed. It feels like they forgot about you and then remembered in a panic. That panic is something I see every day with the business owners I work with. They are wearing 5 different hats. They are managing inventory, dealing with customers, handling payroll, and trying to keep the lights on. Social media often falls to the bottom of the list, and when it does, the guilt sets in. So they try to make up for lost time. They dump a week's worth of content in a single afternoon. But here is the hard truth. A content dump followed by silence does not build an audience. It just confuses them. It breaks trust. It tells your customers that you are inconsistent, that you are reactive rather than proactive. What builds an audience is rhythm. It is the steady, predictable pulse of your presence. One solid, meaningful post every single day beats a frantic burst of content, followed by a ghost town. When you show up reliably, people start to look for you. It becomes a habit for them, just as much as it is a habit for you. But this brings us to the real challenge. How do you maintain that rhythm when you are already overwhelmed? Consistency is usually the first thing to break when business gets busy. It is the first casualty of a busy Tuesday or a stressful Friday. I remember speaking with a local shop owner recently. He runs a small retail store. He knows he needs to be on social media. He knows it drives foot traffic. But he told me, I spend 20 minutes just staring at a blank screen trying to figure out what to say. By the time I've written a post and found a photo, I've lost half my morning. That is the friction. That is the enemy of consistency. It's not a lack of creativity, it's a lack of time and a lack of a system. When you don't have a system, the anxiety of what do I post today is paralyzing. It hangs over your head. You wake up thinking about it, and by the time you sit down to do it, you are too tired or too busy. So what is the solution? It isn't working harder. It isn't forcing yourself to be creative on demand. The solution is finding a system that prevents content overload while maintaining a steady presence. This is where the concept of an anti-overwhelm planner becomes vital. It's a mindset shift. Instead of asking, what can I post today, you need a framework that answers that question for you, based on the reality of your business. Imagine having a one-post-per-day system that doesn't just tell you to post, but guides you through it. A system that understands that you are a business owner first and a content creator second. This is the secret to staying visible without burning out. It's about removing the friction. It's about taking the 15 to 20 minutes that a typical post takes, wrestling with platforms, finding images, writing copy, and condensing it into something that takes just a few minutes. When I look at the businesses we work with, the ones that succeed are not the ones posting the most. They are the ones posting the most consistently. They have found a way to integrate content creation into their workflow without it becoming a burden. Let's talk about what that looks like in practice. It starts with having a tool that understands your business. Not a generic tool that spits out robotic text, but something that learns your voice, your products, your services. When you have a system that accepts your ideas, whether you speak them, type them, or drop in an image, and transforms them into professional content, the game changes. You aren't starting from scratch, you are refining. And when that system also handles the publishing, the friction disappears. One-click authentication means you aren't logging into 5 different platforms. You aren't dealing with the headache of Meta Business Suite or trying to figure out the best time to post on LinkedIn versus TikTok. The system handles the rhythm so you can handle the business. This is about democratizing professional-grade content. Big companies have marketing teams that ensure they show up every day. Small businesses often feel like they can't compete because they don't have that team. But when you have a tool that acts as your personal content genius, that gap closes. You get to have the same rhythm as the big players, but without the overhead and without the complexity. I often tell business owners to focus on their current problems, not the latest trends. Don't implement AI just because everyone else is. Implement it because you have a specific problem, you need to be consistent, and you don't have the time. The result of this rhythm is powerful. It's not just about likes or shares, it's about trust. It's about being the business that people think of first, because you are always there. You are reliable. When you stop worrying about the volume and start focusing on the rhythm, you free up mental energy. You stop feeling guilty. You stop feeling overwhelmed. You get back to doing what you do best, running your business, while your online presence continues to work for you. That is the goal, to have a presence that sells while you sleep, but more importantly, to have a presence that doesn't stress you out while you are awake. So if you are feeling the pressure to post more, I invite you to try a different approach. Aim for less volume but perfect consistency. Find a system that takes the heavy lifting off your shoulders, and watch how that steady rhythm builds a stronger, more loyal audience than a frantic content dump ever could. Let's dive deeper into why this rhythm matters so much and how you can practically achieve it without adding to your already full plate. When we talk about consistency, we are really talking about reliability. In business, reliability is currency. If you tell a customer you will open at 9 a.m., you open at 9 a.m. If you promise a service, you deliver it. Your social media should be treated with the same respect. Every time you post, you are making a micro-promise to your audience. You are saying, I am here, I am active, I am paying attention. When you fulfill that promise daily, you build a reputation. Conversely, when you disappear, that promise is broken. It might seem trivial, who cares if a coffee shop misses a Tuesday post, but psychologically, it signals instability. In a world where consumers are bombarded with choices, they will gravitate toward the businesses that feel stable and present. I had a conversation with a service provider recently. They were frustrated because their engagement was dropping. They decided to double down and post 3 times a day. Within a week, they were exhausted, and their engagement actually dropped further. The content wasn't good, it was rushed, it was filler. We shifted their strategy. We moved them to one high-quality post per day. We used a system that helped them generate that post quickly, ensuring it actually said something valuable. Within a month, their engagement per post had tripled. Their reach was smaller per post, but the impact was higher. And the best part? The owner felt less stressed. This is the power of the one post per day rhythm. It forces you to be selective. It forces you to focus on quality over quantity. But it also requires a process that makes that selection easy. If you are trying to come up with a brilliant idea from a standing start every single morning, you will fail. You need a bank of ideas. You need a way to capture thoughts as they happen. This is where the input method is crucial. Sometimes the best ideas come to you while you are driving, or while you are talking to a customer, or while you are unboxing a new product. If you have to wait until you are at your computer to write them down, you lose them. A system that accepts voice input is a game changer for busy owners. You can dictate an idea while you are walking through your shop. You can capture the energy of a real moment. The system then takes that raw thought and polishes it into a professional post. It's not about faking it, it's about capturing the essence of your business and presenting it clearly. Your customers want to hear from you, they want your voice, but they also appreciate content that is clear, engaging, and formatted correctly for the platform they are viewing it on. That is another layer of the friction problem. Instagram requires a different style than LinkedIn. TikTok demands a different energy than Facebook. Trying to manually adapt one piece of content for 5 different platforms is a recipe for frustration. A true rhythm-based system handles this adaptation automatically. It knows that a post for LinkedIn should be more professional, while a post for Instagram can be more visual and casual. It takes your core message and optimizes it for each channel. This is what we mean by zero-friction publishing. It's not just about scheduling, it's about intelligent distribution. You provide the spark, the idea, the photo, the voice note, and the system fans it into a fire across all your channels. When you remove these technical barriers, you are left with the creative part, and that creative part becomes easier because you aren't bogged down by the mechanics. Let's talk about the psychology of the blank page. It's terrifying. It's why procrastination happens. When you have a system that gives you a starting point, perhaps by suggesting topics based on your previous posts or your business type, the blank page disappears. You are no longer staring into the void, you are editing and refining a draft. This small shift changes everything. Instead of, I have to create something from nothing, it becomes, I have to make this draft better. That is a much less daunting task. And let's be honest about the content itself. A lot of business owners worry that their posts aren't creative enough. They feel like they need to be poets or photographers. But the truth is, your customers don't want poetry. They want to know what you offer, why it matters, and that you are open for business. Simple, direct, consistent communication wins. A post that says, we just got a fresh shipment of product in today, come check it out with a clear photo, is infinitely more valuable than a vague, artistic shot with no context. The rhythm ensures that these simple, effective messages go out regularly. You don't need to reinvent the wheel every day, you just need to share the reality of your business. This brings us back to the idea of preventing overload. Overload happens when we try to do too much at once. It happens when we let things pile up. A daily rhythm breaks tasks down into manageable chunks. Instead of a monthly panic to fill a content calendar, you have a daily habit that takes a few minutes. It becomes part of your morning routine. Maybe you do it with your first coffee. Maybe you do it while you are checking the morning emails. By integrating it into an existing habit, you ensure it happens. You don't have to find time for it because it is attached to something you already do. I've seen this work for a diverse range of businesses, from restaurants posting their daily specials to e-commerce stores highlighting a single product feature. The format changes, but the rhythm remains. One restaurant owner told me that by posting a single photo of their lunch special every day at 11 a.m., they increased their lunch revenue by 15%. It wasn't complex, it wasn't high art, it was consistent. It became a signal to their regulars that the kitchen was open and ready. That is the kind of result that matters. It's not about vanity metrics, it's about business results, and consistency is the driver of those results. When you maintain a rhythm, you also gather better data. If you post sporadically, you can't tell what works. If you post every day, you start to see patterns. You see which topics resonate, which images get saved, which calls to action generate clicks. This data allows you to refine your strategy. You can double down on what works and cut what doesn't. But you can only get that data if you are consistent enough to generate a baseline. So how do you start? You start by accepting that less is more. You commit to one post a day. You forgive yourself for the days you missed in the past, and you find a tool that aligns with the core values of simplicity and practical results. You want a tool that respects your time, a tool that understands that you are a business owner, not a social media manager, a tool that is built on the principle that every minute saved on content is a minute earned growing your business. When you find that tool, the anxiety fades. You realize that maintaining a professional online presence doesn't have to be a second job. It can be a simple, automated part of your workflow. I often think about the phrase AI that publishes in 3 minutes and sells while you sleep. It sounds catchy, but the real value is in those 3 minutes. It's the time you get back. It's the mental space you reclaim. Imagine ending your workday knowing that your content for tomorrow is already planned, written, and scheduled. Imagine not waking up with that nagging feeling that you should post something. That peace of mind is worth more than any single marketing tactic. It allows you to focus on your customers, your team, and your product. It allows you to be present in your business rather than being distracted by the mechanics of promotion. But let's be clear, this doesn't mean you should ignore your channels entirely. Engagement is still a two-way street. You still need to respond to comments and messages. But when the heavy lifting of creation is handled, you have more energy for those interactions. You can focus on building relationships rather than scrambling for content. This is the shift from a reactive mindset to a proactive one. When you are reactive, you post because you feel guilty or because you see a competitor post. When you are proactive, you post because you have a plan, you have a rhythm. A proactive approach also allows for creativity to flourish. When you aren't stressed about the what, you can focus on the how. You can experiment with different types of content, maybe a video, maybe a carousel, because the baseline is already taken care of. The anti-overwhelm planner concept is about protecting that baseline. It's about setting a limit that is achievable for a busy person. 1 post a day is achievable. 3 posts a day is a recipe for burnout for a solo business owner. We have to respect our own limitations. We have to acknowledge that we are human. The businesses that thrive are the ones that build sustainable systems, not the ones that sprint until they collapse. I've seen so many businesses start with a bang. They hire an agency, they post 5 times a day, they run ads, and then, 3 months later, they stop. Why? Because it wasn't sustainable. They couldn't keep up with the volume. The businesses that last are the ones that find a pace they can maintain indefinitely. They find their rhythm. And in today's digital landscape, that rhythm is visible. It's a signal of health. When a potential customer looks you up, they look at your recent activity. If they see a post from yesterday, they feel confident. If they see a post from 6 months ago, they wonder if you are still in business. Consistency builds trust, and trust builds sales. It's that simple. So if you are feeling the pressure to do more, I encourage you to pause. Look at your schedule, look at your energy levels, ask yourself what you can realistically commit to. If the answer is 1 post a day, commit to that, and commit to finding a way to make it effortless. This is where technology serves its highest purpose. It shouldn't add complexity, it should remove it. It should be the silent partner that handles the background tasks so you can stand in the foreground. When you have a partner that generates smart content from your key business points, that adapts it for every platform, and that publishes it with 1 click, you have achieved the rhythm. You have solved the problem of volume, you have replaced it with consistency. And consistency, as we've discussed, is the engine of growth. It's the quiet force that works for you every single day, building your reputation, nurturing your audience, and driving your business forward. Let's take a moment to visualize this. It's Monday morning, you are at your desk, coffee in hand, you have a dozen things to do. Usually social media is at the bottom of the list, looming over you. But today, you open your dashboard, you see a prompt, what's happening in your business today? You think, we just got a new delivery of fabric. You speak that into your phone. A few seconds later, a draft appears. It's a professional post, formatted for Instagram and Facebook. It includes a suggestion for a photo. You click approve. Then you click publish everywhere. And you are done. The whole process took 2 minutes. Now you can turn your attention to that new delivery. You can unpack it, display it, and prepare for customers. You are doing the work that actually generates revenue. That is the reality of the one post per day rhythm. It's not a compromise, it's an optimization. It respects your time, it respects your audience, and it respects the reality of running a small business. I want to address a common fear here, the fear that if I only post once a day, I'll be forgotten. This is the scarcity mindset fed by algorithms that want endless content. But algorithms favor engagement. If your one post is high quality and resonates with your audience, it will reach more people than 5 low-quality posts. The math of quality over quantity holds true. Furthermore, your true audience, the people who actually care about your business, doesn't want to be spammed. They want to hear from you, but they don't want their feeds cluttered. Being a welcome presence is better than being a noisy one. Think of your favorite newsletter. Do you want it every hour? No. You want it when it has something valuable to say. The same applies to social media. Your posts should be events, not noise. A daily rhythm makes each post an anticipated event. A frantic rhythm makes them background noise. This is why the anti-overwhelm aspect is so critical. It protects the quality of your output. When you are forced to create one post, you put effort into it. When you are trying to create 7, you cut corners. We prioritize practical results over hype. The hype says post more. The results say post consistently. We choose the results, and we build our tools to support that choice. The system we use, the multimodal AI wizard, is designed to make that one post perfect. It takes your raw input and elevates it. It ensures the tone is right, the grammar is clean, and the call to action is clear. It also ensures you aren't repeating yourself. When you have a system that tracks what